instrumental murderer. You already know what time it is. Gangway, we the team. For sure. Look, I've been really trying to get it, but the people got their handle in my business. Let's go. People say I need to listen, but the way I be too busy flipping, gotta change the way I'm living. Yes, these enemies ain't no friends to me. That Hennessy, get them froggy, they gon' rest in peace. They testing me, pray to God that they let me be. My family need a leader, so I'm staying free. Keep it legal, I spit the late flows. 36 can play the game just like Otebo. Just follow me though, just let the streets know. Jersey master with the craft, know he keep the heat though. I'm talking candles, put that name on the mantle. I dismantle all your squad, pick apart, leave them all examples. Them coppers be taking samples, nothing left. I burnt them. Morning. Welcome to this special edition of the Community Soldier Podcast. We got a very serious topic today, and I just want y'all to just listen to what we got to say today. Please share this video, and I hope you find it helpful. And I just want to start off by saying, if you or someone that you know is having thoughts of harming themselves, please get them in contact with the National Suicide Hotline. We will be posting the number later on the screen today. But enjoy the show today, guys.
Cause of death for children as young as 10. Bradley Blackburn spoke with one mom who's on a mission to teach other parents about the risk.
He was just such a natural athlete.
Wendy Sefcik cherishes the moment she had with her son TJ and will always grieve she doesn't have more of them.
He was always my more kid. He loved more. He would get angry more. Friends with everybody. He was always the one to champion the underdog. And he was really, truly beloved.
In 2010, at just 16 years old, he died by suicide. She knew her son was struggling and had taken him to therapists, but had no idea he would take his own life.
He was a master at putting on a mask. There were things, in hindsight, that I realize now that actually would have been clues and helped me to understand, but I didn't know.
Today, a website and video series called Not My Kid helps give parents tools to guide conversations that can be challenging. Maureen Underwood created the program.
It's about the listening, not maybe as much about the talking, but it's about the listening and being non-judgmental and, letting children have their say.
Signs kids could be at risk include feelings of helplessness or worthlessness, actions like increased use of alcohol or drugs, and sudden changes in personality or behavior. The right kind of intervention can be life-saving.
I think many people are afraid to talk about it because they're afraid they're going to plant the idea in someone's head. And we know that rather than plant the idea, you give kids permission to talk about it. And that's what they need.
Nobody should die by suicide. We can do a lot to prevent people from dying by suicide.
An important message for parents for how they can help their children to live. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, Towako.
Man, so there was a lot of things that they hit that I want to talk about. And the reason why I want to talk about this is a major problem that we have, especially in our community today, especially with all of the things that are going on, the changes in society, the changes in our world. And we don't talk about that enough, especially with our young men, That's really what I want to focus on this episode, because a lot of the times as parents, we're adapting to life as we get older, right? And sometimes we don't get hip to things until it's way too late. And I hear a lot of parents, they say things like, well, my kid's not in the streets, my kids ain't in no gang stuff, so my kids are good, right? I hear people say that a lot, right? My kids are good. They're not in the streets. They're not in the gangs. They're not being bad out here. And then we think like, oh, our kids are okay. But in reality, when you talk to these kids, they look something like what we see here in this representation. in this representation and this picture here, as you can see, you will see that there's a lot of things that are on young people's minds: the fear, the failure, the anxiety, right? Being alone, abandonment, not fitting in, not feeling like they're good enough. All of these things on the young people's brains today, and we don't even understand it, right? We don't take the time to listen to them. We don't take the time to see what's going on inside of their heads, right? But what I'm seeing now, there's a hidden danger that us parents, we have to be aware of, because there's more to it out there than just my kids ain't in the streets. See, because they finding ways to attack our children, and they're attacking our children and they destroying them. And there's this new way that they attacking our kids that I want to make sure that parents is aware of, and that grown people, right, are aware of, because they always find ways, creative ways, to get us to fall into these traps. And I want to make sure that all parents is aware of this new trap, because we got to start supporting our young adults, especially our young men, right? We think that just because they're grown, they go to school, they go to college, and they maybe start working and start building a life. We think that they're good, and we don't check on them, and we don't talk to them. We don't do anything, right? And we don't even prepare them for the things that they're getting ready to face, because we have no idea some of the things that they're going to face, right? But I want to keep y'all aware and put y'all up on one way that they really getting our kids to fall into a trap of depression and despair, and even our young men.
Did. I think that the original sports in America, they were all competitions that were organized so that people could gamble on them. I mean, the beginning of professional football was organized by bookmakers, the Rooneys and the Mara family. So in its real sense, the history of gambling on sports and the history of sports are really intertwined.
But high-profile scandals, from the Chicago White Sox throwing the 1919 World Series to Pete Rose wagering on his own games, raised concerns that sports betting could jeopardize fan support.
The leagues could not have been more opposed. In the most vehement terms possible, they said, "This is an existential threat to our sports. This will degrade fans' relationship with sports, where all they're going to care about is the point spread or some prop."
So in 1990, the league shared their concerns in testimony before the Senate.
Sports betting is bad. It's bad for sports, it's bad for athletes, it's bad for our young people. If large numbers of our fans come to regard baseball only as a gambling vehicle, the very nature of our national pastime would be debased.
This ultimately will threaten the integrity of our games.
Congress agrees. In 1992, they passed a law effectively walling off sports gambling to just Nevada. But 2 decades later, a crack develops around fantasy sports, a season-long game where you draft teams of real athletes and score points based on their real-world performance.
You have kids and teenagers who have their own fantasy league with their friends, and while I do think the camaraderie is a big part of it, the camaraderie made it easy to hide behind what is sort of the larger picture, which is this is gambling. The whole point.
See, so this is what I'm talking about here. The legalization and the gamification of sports betting through apps has created a direct pipeline to mental health crisis for young men. A direct pipeline. Unlike traditional gambling, these apps are available 24/7. 24/7 for young people whose prefrontal cortex is still developing. The cycle of the bet loss, the chase, it happens in seconds, and they constantly being bombarded.
Point is that you're trying to win a pot.
In the early 2000s, daily fantasy sports sites launched online, led by DraftKings and FanDuel.
There's no season-long commitment. And with brand new contests every week, you can pick a new team each week and get immediate cash payout.
So why is daily fantasy sports, or DFS, legal? DFS advocates claim the rules of the game require skill, not luck, to win. But it takes some convincing.
We spent almost 4 years explaining that it's really a game of skill, immense skill.
Jeremy Kudon is a lobbyist for DraftKings and FanDuel, dating back to the DFS days.
We would hire the best lobbyists in every single state to educate the legislators so that they would pass legislation to make clear that fantasy sports were a game of skill and therefore legal, and that allowed DraftKings and FanDuel to continue to operate.
Fantasy sports really blew up. Daily fantasy sort of grew as a model for playing these games and for betting on them and for a business that could generate money for people who are offering these contests.
Fantasy football, fantasy sports in general, is the gateway drug. And it was a really easy indicator that if we ever had, legalized sports gambling available widespread across the country, it certainly lets you know about the potential to have an explosive financial windfall for those who ran sports gambling.
So their investors had an enormous incentive to push for legalization.
The online fantasy sports companies soon have an ally. New Jersey decides it wants to legalize sports betting as a way to raise tax revenue and argues their case all the way to the Supreme Court. Publicly, the leagues oppose the New Jersey legalization push.
While the leagues were fighting New Jersey in federal court, they were meeting secretly with gambling companies and learning the billions and billions of dollars they stood to make if this were legal and they were to embrace it.
See, so this is where we making this connection at today. So I got the smoke for these type of companies, man, because they are so predatory at how they attack our children, how they market to our children, and I want to make this connection for y'all so it makes sense, right? We're talking about self-harming, right? Right now, gambling has one of the highest suicide rates of any addiction. That's why the sister Jamel Hill compared it. She said, this is the gateway drug now for our youth. The gateway drug now for our youth. Y'all understand this? The feeling that you have ruined your whole life or your family's finances through your debt leads to many to a point of total hopelessness. And it starts early. This is how they get our children. It starts early. And they're getting them like indoctrinated into this microtransactions, micro gambling addiction. And why this is important? Why this is important? Because right now the leading cause of death between people from ages 15 to 24, right? 15 to 24 right now. Accidents, homicides, self-harm. Those are the top three. And we all know that these come from risky behaviors, right? The leading cause of death for young men approximately ages 15 to 30 are overwhelmingly driven by preventable external factors, with intentional injuries including drug overdoses and car crashes, homicides, particularly gun violence, and suicide being the top killers. These combined account for over two-thirds of death in this demographic, with mortality rates for these causes significantly higher in men than women. So, as I'm studying this and I'm looking over these things, right, what is causing our young men from 15 to 30 to turn to these things, um, to do the type of things that they're doing, right? And when you see it, it all comes from really basic science. When you understand that young men, right, don't have a fully developed prefrontal cortex until they're at least 30. It's That's when your brain fully develops for a young man. So a lot of times in life, we making decisions and making choices in our life that have drastic ramifications, and we're not even totally aware of these actions because our brains aren't fully developed yet. And science shows that young people, young men exactly, are prone to more risky behaviors. We're prone to that. What I mean by that?
The new study of more than 5,000 teenagers and young adults from 11 countries confirms adolescent brains are all prone to risk-taking. But acting on it varies. Psychologist Lisa Damour takes an in-depth look at that study in her New York Times online article, Teenagers Do Dumb Things, but There Are Ways to Limit Recklessness. Lisa Damour is also a CBS News contributor. Lisa, welcome back.
Thank you.
I've got three of these. I've had three of these teenage beings
that do dumb things.
That do dumb things, and I've had this conversation many times. I mean, what's interesting, what I noticed here is you talk about the thrill-seeking impulse reaches its peak at 19.
Yes.
But the brakes on that system don't reach their adult level till
closer to 23 or 24.
So we got 4 crisis
years. So there's a
years.
real mismatch. There's a real mismatch between when sensation-seeking peaks and when the controls are fully on.
But that risk-taking is totally normal.
It is normal. It's an expectable part of adolescence. We expect teenagers to seek independence and to sort of reach out into the outside world, but it also means that parents are nervous.
Yeah, so don't just think they're doing dumb things. It is wired in their brain.
Yes, what
That's
we
what
do
I think is interesting. Yeah,
is that the teenage brain is built so that they really want to seek sensation.
But it happens. It's different how it happens all around the world. But in Indonesia, I thought this was very interesting. Only 2% of the kids there engage in risk-taking behavior.
Have tried drinking in the last 30 days. That was the finding. And so what's important about this new research is that it shows that teenagers around the world all have these gawky brains.
So teenagers all over the world have this problem, right? They're more prone to risky behaviors, right? This is why young men, of course, are prone to these leading things, these leading causes of death amongst them. You can understand why it happens this way. Unintentional injuries, the number one causes for ages 1 through 44 include motor vehicle accidents. This is why I train my children, right? I train my children and I let them know that the vehicle is the most dangerous place that you can be in as a person, right? Therefore, when you're driving in this vehicle, you have to be totally aware of your surroundings. You have to understand that this is the number one cause of death for young people, right? Training your children. This is what this episode is about, how to prepare your children for what's come, right? We know about the gun violence. We always talk about the gun violence, but people always fail to realize that there is more than one trap out here that they getting our children with. And this is why children are depressed and parents are like, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know why. I don't know why they're so depressed. I gave them everything. I don't know why they're feeling this way. It's because you're not in tune. You're not paying attention. There's more to it than just gun violence. Yes, homicide is a leading cause of death, particularly for young males from 15 through 19, with rates nearly 700% higher than young women. So mothers, fathers, we have to put extra attention to our young males, letting them know the dangers of the streets, the ramifications of playing with guns, giving them true gun safety. How many children that I see have been hurt, right, due to people not properly understanding guns and how to use guns? I've heard many stories of children letting off firearms by mistake, right, and accidentally discontinuing themselves, right? All of that could be avoided with true gun safety. Other cultures and other demographics, they teach their children firearm safety. We don't teach our children firearm safety. Why we don't teach our children firearm safety? Systemic reasons, systemic things. Like me, I can't even own a firearm, so I can't teach my son firearm safety because I don't even own one. So I have to have someone from outside of the home, like my brother Mike, to teach my son firearm safety. So we have to do that better in our community. We have to teach our children how to safely use, manage this tool, which is a firearm. And we have to let them understand when it is appropriate to use one and when it is not. We can X out that, right? Suicide, the second leading cause of death for young men, with rates 3 times higher than women. Why? Because the world is changing and we don't understand it. And we don't give our kids the tools that they need to survive in this world. We have to talk to our children. We have to speak to them. We have to get them prepared by giving them the tools that they need to survive in this world. And we're not giving them the tools because we so single-mindedly focused on one side of it, the streets, right? We think because our kids ain't in the streets. My kid sits at home and plays video games. He don't do nothing. But you're not realizing that it's more to it than just that, man. Look at my picture that I painted here. This is a young man inside his home, video games. Y'all see the jewelry in the background, magazine, the money, the Jordans, the shoes. This lifestyle that they push on our kids, man, is expensive. Crazy expensive. Crazy expensive. And then they push everything is like microwave in this generation. They just show them the instant success. They don't show them the grind, what it takes to make this. But they push this instant success on our kids. And our kids think that they have to get it right away. They have to get it right away. And if they don't get it right away, then they're worthless. They feel like they don't fit in. They don't have nothing. Even for our young men right now, our young men are struggling. Look at the numbers. Let's just take a look at some of the statistics in young men, right? Let's look in America, right? How many young men are single? Let's just look at the numbers. I'm going to ask the AI, and let's see what it tells us. How many young men are single in the United States? In recent data, it shows a significant portion of young men are single, with the numbers varying depending on how single is defined, unmarried versus completely unpartnered, right? Key statistics: total unpartnered, ages 18 to 24. Approximately 86% of all young adults in this age bracket are unpartnered, not living with a spouse or a romantic partner. A 2026 report found that among unmarried young adults ages 22 to 35, from ages 22 to 35, 60% of men are single but interested in a relationship, yet only about 1 in 3 are actively dating. 1 in 3 are actively dating. There is a notable gap in singleness between young men and women. In the under 30 demographic, roughly 63% of men identify as single compared to only about 34% of women, which makes no sense. But that is a root cause of our problems right here. We have a lot of young men that are single, right? That have no one, that go to work every day and they have nothing. They come home, they play the video game, right? They play their video game. There's no interactions with the outside world, and they become depressed. They become depressed. And then on top of that, we got this silent threat that's happening right now in our community, and we're not even aware of it. We're not even aware of it. But let me show y'all what they're doing to our kids, man.
Regardless of the outcome. And make no mistake, if you're young and male, you're getting the hard sell.
The push and the marketing around gambling itself is troublesome because the sheer volume of it is unprecedented. When you think about how for so long the idea of gambling, especially sports gambling, was considered to be this very taboo, very off limits. People don't do that, and they certainly don't publicize it.
BetMGM's got all the sports betting in one place.
To suddenly it being everywhere. You know, you have commercials for betting apps popping up every 2 minutes. There is these blinking red signs all the time saying, gamble, gamble, gamble now. And it's not just suggested to you that you gamble. You also have to look at who's telling you to gamble.
Got an NFL offer.
Don't play with me.
I think I'm going to take it.
Kevin Hart, LeBron James, right? All of the ads, they're making it seem super cool and sexy. And yeah, it's very much targeted towards young men. And that's public. That's not even, me speculating, right? The companies themselves say that that's their target demographic.
They're 100% targeting college kids. For example, celebrities like Drake.
Yeah.
Drake put $180,000 on someone to win a fight. And to us, that's just insane amount of money, but to them, that's just $1 on the ground. That is enticing for you to be like, oh, I want to gamble more. I want to do this, because if I could win that money, oh my God.
Right, when you look at how success is marketed to young men, the idea of you being able to attain these riches and women and all the other things, they make that very much a part of the sell.
The game just started and the squad's already going crazy. Because on Prize Picks, your player only needs to get 1 yard to win. 1 yard to start popping bottles. 1 yard to make a grown man cry.
The message is be a big winner. Come win with us. Fireworks, Vanessa Hudgens, Kevin Hart, Jamie Foxx, Life is Good. Be a thrillionaire.
So this is why I make this connection to suicide. Like I told y'all earlier, the problem gambling has is one of the highest suicide rates amongst any other addiction. And this is why this is a silent threat that a lot of parents, a lot of people aren't even ready for. A lot of people ain't ready for. And this is why we need women in our lives. Men need women in our lives to help us through situations like this. Because studies show that women don't have the same aversion to risky behavior, right? Because there are no physical symptoms like track marks or a breath that smells like alcohol, a gambling addiction, it can remain completely hidden to you. It can remain completely hidden to you until it reaches financial catastrophe. This is why this is a silent problem amongst our community. It's the second leading cause of death in young men is suicide. And when you hear some of the stories, if you search online, just search online gambling and almost deleting yourself. Just search that. Search gambling horror stories. I saw a story once where there was a man who was in college and he was using gambling as a way to invest, sadly. And you'll see that these young people are seeing it as an investment opportunity because of all of the microtransactions that they have available, right? More bets that they have, the more chances that you have to hit. And this young man took all of his parents' money that they gave him, his inheritance, over $300,000 that they gave him to start his life after college. And he bet it all within a matter of minutes and lost everything. And when he lost everything, he said his first thought was, it's over. I have nothing else to continue for. So therefore, I might as well delete myself. And you see more stories like that. People that are gambling and they're sports betting online and they're betting everything. And they're losing everything. And it's sad, man, because when you see how much, like I showed you guys, how much they're marketing this to our kids, how much they're pushing the sports betting on our kids. This is a problem that we have to really start talking to our kids about, man. And a recent 2026 study indicates that individuals with a gambling disorder are up to 15 times more likely to delete themselves by self-harm than the general population. This is why I say this is a silent threat. But I don't want to just put the problem out there without telling y'all, like, what can we do about this? As a community, I think we need to move beyond responsible gambling slogans like that shift the blame onto the individual. Normalize the conversation. Just like we talk about dangers of drugs, we need to talk about the predatory nature of these betting apps. We need to let people know that this is not a win situation for you because these apps are designed for you to lose. They're designed for you to fail. Them parlays is not parlaying, and they never will. They never will. Them parlays will never hit like you want them to hit, man. Trust me. You know why they won't hit like you want them to hit? Because it's set up for them to win. They always gonna win against you. The house is rigged. The books is cooked. And we know the books is cooked, man. Y'all can see it. So why spend money in that? Why waste your money in that? I remember when it first started jumping and then during the pandemic, and I seen people had these groups on Facebook and they like, yo, bet with me, bet with me. I hit, I'm gonna get you the bread, I'm gonna get you the bread. What happened to them groups? I don't see them no more. What happened to the parlay man? I don't see him no more. The parlay man missing, man. Where he at? You know why he missing? Because y'all been losing money, bro. Y'all losing money and it's not a win. So this is why they bombard our kids right now with this, because they want you to get stuck in that. This is another way that they keep us distracted, man. This is another way that they keep us distracted, using things like online sports betting, things like guns. They keep us distracted with this, and this is how our kids fall into these traps. They know our young men are more likely to do risky things. They're more likely to indulge in risky behaviors. So if they can't get your kids with the streets, they're gonna get your kids another way. And this phone is a bad mug, man. Y'all not paying attention to these young people, man.
All of these scandals that have been coming out in baseball and NBA and football has created a growing cynicism. And over the last months even, the conversation has been about these games are fixed.
If you talk to athletes, like they're used to getting heckled, but the way they are being verbally abused now because of gambling, we're talking about people who say the worst things to them about their families, sometimes about their race, all because they have money on the game.
Don't Gabby like you did yesterday, Gabby.
Athletes like Gabby Thomas, who was harassed by a fan during a race in Pennsylvania,
You're going down, Gabby. You're going down, Gabby.
are experiencing more and more unruly behavior.
Gambling on these player performance-related, parlays, those are giving people way too much incentive to confront players in real life.
Jimmy Butler, man, they don't give a you in that city. Stupid looking man, look at him. Bro, I put 3,000 to win 30. Why you ain't have 30 person? You work for Vegas. You work for Vegas.
I have to commend Jimmy Butler because he showed a lot of self-control in that instance, because the way that man was talking to him, nobody would have blamed Jimmy Butler if he'd have dragged old dude out of the car and gave him a 4-piece with a biscuit and a large drink real fast. Now that you do have players who have been investigated for rigging their own performance, that gives fans even more reason to get pissed off at these guys. Gambling completely alters how you see the game.
Josh Jacobs got injured.
When did that happen?
All right, so one of the guys we need in two of our parlays is now out, and we just lost two more.
If you're betting on sports and you're watching a game, you're caring a lot about not just what team wins, but individual performance-related elements that you want to happen. Like, oh, I need such and such, they gotta get 2 touchdowns. And you found yourself rooting against your own team at times. It disrupts your experience.
Not only has gambling changed the viewer experience, but also the way it's being covered in the media.
When the NBA scandal, when that exploded in the news, we saw inherently how sports media had been compromised. Here you have on ESPN's signature morning show, Get Up, they're talking about the scandal, and at the same time, you see advertising for ESPN Bet.
Seeing these second half odds, I'm going to live bet them to win.
Speaking of winning.
The bottom line is that in this economy, everybody's looking for new streams of income. Money is the biggest factor. There's billions of dollars that are accessible. I think they saw a humongous media opportunity and probably decided, why are we having this noble attitude about something that people love to do? For ESPN to even have its own betting app, when there was an understood company rule that you didn't talk about gambling on air, just
Care about our kids, right? And this is why I want y'all to understand this, because this is just one of the things, right, that they're using to destroy our young people, our young men especially. But I want to open the chat now, man. I want to open the chat to people watching. There's a lot of things that are causing destruction in our community. And I just highlighted just one, which is, in my opinion, one that we really need to pay attention to, the sports gambling. Um, but there are many other things like social media. I see the harm in social media and what it's done to our community and our society all over the world, right? That's just one trap that's affecting our children. I highlighted another one is the way we date really is affecting young people, young men specifically. I can speak for young men because I'm a man and I understand these are things that I teach my sons and I prepare my sons for. Because how many men are actually talking to their young sons about the dating scene in society right now, right? Because our young men have to navigate things that we never had to navigate before. The social media, right? See, we didn't always have it. We didn't always have it. And this is a new thing for us, right? So I want y'all to, let's comment, man. I want to hear what y'all got to say, man. I want to know. We're going to put the comments up on the screen. And we're going to allow you to have this time. So if you have something to add to the video today, whether it be a story, a comment, something else that parents need to worry about, I want y'all to add it to the screen. Because there's so many financial traps, there's so many things that are targeted towards our youth that we need to be prepared for, right? And I don't think like we take enough time to prepare our kids, right, for certain things. But I want to know what y'all think, man. I want to know what y'all think. Leave a comment, drop us a comment in the video. Let's talk about it online, man. I want to talk about it. I would like to play some music, but you know, the Facebook, man, be tripping about the music, man. We need to get that right. We need to get that right. But leave us a comment, man. We want to know. We want to know what other traps do people need to prepare for? What other traps do they need to prepare for? Leave us your comment. What do you think right now is one of the leading causes for our young people to turn to self-harm? Why are they choosing to turn to self-harm instead of reaching out for help? Is it because they feel like there's no one listening, there's no one to talk to? Are there not enough resources or people paying attention to their problems? Like, I want to know. Let me know what y'all think, man, in the comments. Let's talk about it. Or do you feel like this is not an issue? I mean, because what are we seeing within the communities right now? What are we seeing? Let's chat, guys.
The new study of more than 5,000 teenagers and young adults
Engage in risk-taking behavior.
Have tried drinking in the last 30 days.
Yeah.
That was the finding. And so what's important about this new research is that it shows that teenagers around the world all have these gawky brains where their impulses can get ahead of their controls. But teenagers around the world don't take risks at the same level. So context matters. And that's important for parents to understand.
And your parenting matters too.
Absolutely, that there are things parents can do to help keep teenagers safe.
What do we do?
Yeah.
So what do we do? So we reinforce laws that we know help keep teenagers safe, like driving curfew laws. We supervise them, right? Because for something to go wrong, temptation and opportunity have to come together.
Yeah.
We plan with them in advance for tricky situations they might get in.
And that's what we're talking about, man. How can you plan in advance? Leave us your comments, man. We want to know, what are some of the things that kids are getting into nowadays that are causing them to turn to self-harm? What are some of the things that you're seeing within, your own life? What are the problems that we're seeing that kids are going through? I highlighted one in the sports betting. We also know about the gun violence as well within our community, but let's highlight some other ones. I was talking about social media earlier, right, with my sons. Navigating social media in today's dating world is hard, and we have to talk to our kids about it. We have to talk to our sons about it. We're seeing more and more young men turn to self harm after dating situations. What I mean by that is, you know, they're in relationships and they break up, and then you see them turn to self harm. Why is that? I think it's because young men aren't given the tools that they need to navigate this dating society now, right? We live in a world where everybody has access to your partner that you're dating, like everybody. You got to prepare your young men for this, right? We have to prepare our young men how to deal with the breakup and how to deal with that feeling of loneliness and things like that. So, what are y'all seeing, man? I want to know, man. I want to know. Leave your comments in the chat. Let me know, what are some of the things and the situations that you're seeing that our children are falling into? What are some of the risky behaviors? And how can we counter? Let's talk about that. How can we counter some of those risky behaviors? How can we use these tools to help get them past the things that they're going through, right? These are just some tips right here.
Like if they show up at a party and suddenly everyone's drinking and they weren't expecting that. We don't want teenagers to be trying to figure out how to handle those situations on the fly. So we want to have an advanced plan with them. One of the things that we see is that teenage reasoning is very different in different contexts. What they can say at home in the cold light of day with you isn't always what happens in the heat of the night.
You say agree on an emoji.
Yes. So my favorite new thing is that some teenagers will come to an agreement about a secret emoji code.
Right.
That they'll say to their parent, if I send you the hamburger emoji, that means come get me, and make it look like it was your idea.
That's a great.
Yeah.
That's a
So
great
if their
advice.
friends
Right.
see it, they know that they're not calling for help.
All right.
Exactly.
Lisa DeMore, the all good advice.
Smart.
Thank you.
Basically, it's talking about preparing your kids, man. You got to prepare them for the things that they're going to face in life. You got to give them the resources that they need, the tools that they need. So I'm telling the parents, man, we got to pay more attention to what's going on in our children's life, even after they turn 18, because the leading cause of death in our young men right now is risky behaviors due to vehicles, right? Self-harm. And one of the leading reasons people are turning to self-harm right now is because of gambling addiction. It's the silent addiction that nobody sees. It's like a shopping addiction, but worse because you don't get to see what they're spending their money on. So all this time we thinking our kids are straight. They in school, they doing what they supposed to do, but they suffer. They suffering from secret addictions now. And gambling is just one of them. Sports betting is just one of them. But you see, one of the leading causes of death in our young people, number one is vehicles. Number one is vehicles. I put that on the screen. Let me show y'all. Unintentional injuries, including overdoses, car crashes, homicides, particularly gun violence and suicide being the tops. Why is that? Why is that? I think it's because society has conditioned our young men to feel as though that they have to go through everything on their own. Like, they don't have nobody to talk to. They don't have nobody that can feel their pain, that can understand what they're going through. Y'all not really seeing how society preys upon the weakness of our young men. They prey upon the impulses of our young men. They prey on that. If you just look at the way that they market to our young men, I I can't watch 5 YouTube videos without seeing a commercial for sports betting. 5 commercials. Sports betting or genital enhancement pills. Every 5 commercials. That's all you see on any advertisement. And that's on sports platforms, that's on political platforms. I don't care if you're watching Joe Rogan, ESPN, all day long, you're going to see ads for sports gambling. I showed y'all the clip, man.
Did. I think that the original sports in America,
regardless of the outcome. And make no mistake, if you're young and male, you're getting the hard sell.
The push and the marketing around gambling, it's
all of these scandals that have been coming out in baseball and NBA and football.
That's how they get our kids, man. They market to them constantly. Using their favorite athletes, LeBron James, their favorite stars, to push them into this trap. So if we as parents ain't aware of what's going on, our kids and our young people, they getting into stuff and we have no idea what's going on because we don't pay attention enough to really understand and really to give them the tools that they need. I want to know, chat, what are the problems y'all seeing right now with kids? What's some of the things that's causing them to turn to self-harm? Let me know in your own personal experience. I know me, I could tell y'all a personal story. In 2008, I believe, or 2009, I'm not sure. It was after my daughter was born. And I was really excited to have my daughter. She was my second child, and she was my chance to start over, right? To make up for all of the bad things, the bad decisions, the bad choices I made with my son. I looked at this as a gift of God, right? For allowing me, right, to create life. Because I made a lot of mistakes in my young life that God was starting to teach me like these weren't the right things to do, including deletion of life through birth controls or abortions, things like that. It got to the point where I was around 24, 25, and I really wanted to have a child, and I couldn't have one. And I was being punished for years for the decisions that I made when I was young. And finally, I get blessed. After being told that I would never have one, I get blessed with a beautiful little girl. And I try to do everything right as a man that you're supposed to. Work, go to work every day, grinding, to take care of my family. But at the same time, I had the child support system on my back for my oldest son. Now, I try not to make excuses, but I want y'all to understand the gravity of the situation. Child support is always taking 55% of my income pretty much, um, due to the way that they set up the laws, right? Every state is different. New Jersey has a hard and very strenuous child support system that's mother dominated. It's not a 50-50 state like Michigan is. So I've been dealing with this system on my back for over 20 years. I never complained. I just went to work. Oftentimes I would work 2 and 3 jobs to compensate for the income that was missing. When I was a young father, I was very proud in the fact that I was there taking care of my child every day. But I wasn't really equipped with all of the tools to maintain a relationship, how to be a partner, things like that, or even just to notice simple signs, right? And at the time, my daughter's mother was living in a city she never knew nothing about, moved here from the West Coast, and she had became depressed with postpartum depression. Long story short, through many choices and many decisions and many actions that had consequences that led to my daughter being taken from me, and she moved back to Seattle. And as a young father who was so excited to have a daughter, right, and to have her be ripped away from me in almost the same manner as my first, it crushed me. And at the time, I remember being a young man, about maybe 25 years old, 24, 25. You thinking like, you know everything at that age. You think you know everything. And one of the things that I thought that I knew was that men suffer in silence. We don't complain. We just keep it pushing. That's what I was conditioned to do. And that's what I tried to do until that depression and that anxiety, it built up to the point where I couldn't take it. Right. And I found myself one day in the process of actually trying to delete. I had a wonderful intervention from the universe, from God above. And they directed me to a place to go seek help. And I'll never forget this. I met Aubrey that day. Y'all know Aubrey Rowdy. I met Aubrey that day. And I remember she was one of the workers in this facility. And I remember she said to me, she said, "You're not crazy, you're just really sad. You're just really sad." And if it wasn't for her to say that to me, right, it was one of my lowest times in my life. Lowest times in my life. I didn't have nobody to talk to about what I was feeling. I didn't have nobody that I felt that could relate to what was going on at that time. But I remember when she said that. She said, "There's nothing wrong with you. You're just really sad." And that's what helped me to pick myself back up. And I was fortunate to have that intervention to continue on my journey. But I realized something then. I said, this is how it happens for people. This right here is how it happens, because you get to this road of utter hopelessness. Like, you feel like there's nothing I can do to fix this situation. I told that to the director and the executive director of Community Action Agency, Toby Berry, one time. I remember I went in there with my paycheck when I was working there. And I'm gonna be honest, y'all, I was like, I had broke down. Like, I was like broken. And I remember crying, like, look, this is my paycheck. You know, y'all see me, all of the work that I do in this community. I said, this is what I bring home. And I showed her this check stub. And on that check stub, 40 hours a week, she's showing my bring home. I'm bringing home $1,200 a month. And I'm like, I've been subjected to this system for 22 years. There's nothing I can do about this. And I'm not complaining about it. But it's broken me to the point where I'm utterly hopeless, helpless to do anything about it. So because I'm to this point where it's a wrap for me, this is why I focus on so much on other people so that they don't get to this point where I am now. Because there's no hope for me to see something different. But there is hope for you to see something different, to be something different. And then people say, no, they always say the same thing when I say that. But for me, that's my truth. This is why I focus so much on you guys in the community, trying to help you so that you don't fall victims to these traps. Because these traps, they'll lead you down a road that you don't want to go down. Trust me. You don't want to go down. Young people drinking every day, partying every single day, taking chances with their life. And they only doing it because they're trying to drown something out. They're trying to drown out a hurt, pain, trauma. So they drink, they party, which is risky behaviors. Risky behaviors in turn can lead to destruction, permanent destruction. And then we're stuck looking back like what did I do wrong? What could have I done different to stop this? Right? The thing that we could do to stop this is give our kids more information. We have to be real with them, man. We got to talk to them, man. There's more to life than just don't be in the streets and don't do drugs. There's more to it than that. There's more things that we got to prepare our kids for. Life, man. We got to be honest, man, and open with our kids, man. You got to be honest and open with them so that they be prepared for the things that could possibly happen to them, for the things that they can go through. We have to give them the tools so that they can emotionally develop into their fullest self. And we got to let them know that there is more to life than the things that they be worried about. I want to know from you guys, though, what problems are y'all seeing right now in society that is causing people to turn to self-harm? Like, what problems are you seeing right now? Like, what are the things that are causing people to turn to self-harm? I want to know, like, really. I explained to y'all my situation and what happened to me, right? And I'll tell y'all also what changed my life. See, what changed my life was love. It's a verse. It's a verse in the Bible. I can't remember the verse, but it says, man knows love because first God loved him. See, it wasn't until God loved me that I could understand to love myself. When I understood that God loved me, then I could learn to love myself. When I understood that God loved me, then I understood to love myself. I said that again because this is the whole key to it. It wasn't until that I found God in prison. I had to be in a prison cell, one of the dirtiest places that you could ever be. I'll never forget, I was in quarantine and I was looking at that metal toilet with the stains all over it and the sink right above it. And I was looking at the little nasty little bunk where you gotta lay your head at and the little thin little mattress and birds flying in that spot. It was just the nastiest, dirtiest thing. You could tell like it's all types of diseases and everything on this stuff because it ain't been cleaned in centuries. And I remember dropping to my knees and I just said, look, I'm done. I'm done. And at that moment I told God, I said, listen, I'm gonna give it all to you now. I'm gonna give it all to you now. And when I gave it all to God, God started showing me love. And it wasn't until God showed me love that I understood to love myself. And when I learned to love myself, I learned to love others. So I'm a firm believer in love. And love is not an emotion, guys. I say this all the time. We confuse language because we don't understand the meanings of language. It's one of the main traps that they get us in life. We don't take the time to learn. But love is not an action. Love is an action. It's not a feeling. It's not this little butterfly in my chest. That's not what love is. That's an emotional response to you feeling love. Love is an action. It's what you do that shows love. This is how you can love another person and not be, feel no type of connection where it's like an emotional thing. Like, I could show love and it's not gay for me to show love to my brother. It's not gay for me to tell my brother I love you. Hey, bro, I love you, bro. A lot of guys can't even do that because they think it's gay. Because you listening to the society where you thinking that love is an emotion. Love is not an emotion. Love is an action. It's the action that shows love. It's what you do. Will your brother come pick you up when it's raining and you stuck in the rain? Will your brother come help you when you're in a financial situation? That's the love. That's what love is. Love is an action and not an emotion. So when you show people love, that's what helps them see the love, and that's what helps them love themselves. Society is filled with all of these destructions and traps that make you think that you're not good enough, man. That's what my graphic was about. That's what my graphic was about here. You're not good enough. That's what they trick our people with. We got women thinking that they're not good enough. Like when God made you perfect. We don't even understand that simple premise that you were made perfect the way you are. No matter what you look like, no matter what God blessed you with or what he didn't bless you with. He made you perfect the way you are. And now we're in a society where people think that they're not good enough. Society and social media has made people think that they're not good enough when you are made perfect just the way that you are. But we live in this new swipe right culture. I call it swipe right culture. So I love psychology, man. I think it's interesting, and I study the psychology of people and how it's changed over the years. So I teach my sons about this too, especially the older ones. When you're dating, we live in this swipe right culture, meaning only the most attractive people are going to get chosen. Swipe right. Only the most attractive people are going to get chosen. I showed you the statistics. It was something like crazy, like 60% of men are single. 60% of men are single. Compared to women, you look at compared to women, it's crazy. 34% of women are single. How is that possible? How is only 34% of women are single, but yet 63% of men are single? That's because of the swipe right culture. So this new society of dating only the most attractive people, only the people that got the most money, the most things going on, they're getting all the girls, they're getting all the women. And women, they flock and they gravitate to the most popular guys. So what we're seeing is a lot of men living by themselves, a lot of men being single, a lot of men not being chosen. Where back in the day, internet didn't exist back in the day. So it was a goal for most people to make a family, get married, right? So you dated, and a lot of women would what we used to say it was settling. They would settle for a man, and they would create a family with him, right? Nowadays, due to the social media and the swipe right culture, women are settling because women have endless options. And because they have endless options, they're only going after the most attractive, most financially set guys. So nowadays, the guy that works at the post office, that's looked at as corny. You don't believe me? Just go search it on TikTok. If you work at the post office, you looked at as lame. The average woman will not look at you. She don't want you nowadays. The guy that's a firefighter, that's a police officer, you don't make enough money. So now we're seeing a lot of men that work respectable jobs not even be chosen. And they're living alone. They're living by themselves. And that's one of the reasons why we're seeing when guys do get in relationships and it's time to exit, a lot of guys have a hard time exiting relationships these days. Why? Maybe because it was so hard for them to get one in the first place. These are the things that nobody want to talk about, but these are the problems that's going on in our community, and we got to address them. 60% of men are single, but interested in relationships. And they're not getting it. So what do? They turn to video games, they turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol, they turn to sports betting. And if we don't pay attention, we don't look at the signs, we don't notice the things that's going on in their life, destruction happens and we don't be prepared for it. These are the real issues that we need to start talking about, and these are the problems that we got to address. And if we don't address them, we're just going to have people suffering in silence, suffering alone. And I get it, man, but these are the hard conversations that we're going to have on the Community Soldier podcast. So stay tuned, because we're going to have more of them. Forever rolling. Judge. Instrumental murderer. You already know what time it is. Gangway. We the team. For sure. Look. I've been really trying to get it, but the people got their handle in my business. Let's go. People say I need to listen, but the way I be too busy flipping, gotta change the way I'm living. Yes, these enemies ain't no friends to me. That Hennessy, get them froggy, they gon' rest in peace. They testing me, pray to God that they let me be. My family need a leader, so I'm staying free. Keep it